What's up, everybody? It's me, Anthony, and it's the time of the week again. It's Anthony's NFL Picks. Week 7. That's right, we are now in the 7th week of the NFL, and this season feels like a fever dream, to be honest. I cannot believe the standings. I don't even know which team is good right now. It's such a weird season going on. All the good teams are playing really bad, and all the bad teams from last season are doing good. It just doesn't make sense at all. It just feels like I'm on acid or something. I don't know. But either way, I did a lot better than I did last week. This week, for week 6, I went 10-5. And my overall record is 59-33-1, which is a big improvement from week 5, which was terrible. But anyways, let's get things started. But before we start, there are 2 teams that will be on bye week, and they are the 1-5 Ravens and the 4-2 Bills. And also, please like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bells to get updated on my newest content. Here we go, and kicking it for Thursday Night Football, we have an AFC North matchup between the 4-1 Steelers and the 2-4 Bengals. Steelers are here. They come back from their bye week after week 5. They beat the Browns 23-9. They lead the AFC North. They could be tied for first place in the whole AFC. Aaron Rodgers is playing really good, but again, the AFC North is complete garbage. That whole division is bad, but Pittsburgh is doing really well. It just feels like 2007 again because the Colts, Chargers, and Patriots are still in first place now. I'm getting a lot of nostalgia. But they're taking on the Bengals, who Joe Flacco started on Sunday, and they lost to the Packers 27-18. The Bengals are garbage. Ja'Marr Chase is the only thing that's carrying him right now. Ja'Marr Chase is the only thing good on the Bengals left, and that's not good for them. But to be honest, I'm going with Pittsburgh on this one. Pittsburgh's a better team. Aaron Rodgers is playing like he did in Green Bay, which is a big improvement. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. The Steelers will beat the Bengals 24-10. Steelers will be 5-1. The Bengals will drop to be 2-5, losing 5 straight. We're moving on with the next game. And coming up at our next game, we got an international game, and this is going to be a really good matchup. It's the 4-2 Rams and the 4-2 Jaguars. Rams, they're here after beating the Ravens 17-3. The Rams needed that win. However, Puka Nacua is questionable. He hurt himself against the Ravens, which is not good, but they're tied for first place for the NFC West along with the Seahawks and the Niners, both at 4-2. And the Jaguars, they're here after losing to Seattle. Speaking of them, they lost 20-12, which I knew Seattle was going to win because the Seahawks needed that bounce-back win after losing to Tampa Bay the following week. But Jacksonville's doing really well somehow. They're 4-2. You know, they're showing improvement. It's better than last season. I'll tell you that right now. Liam Cohen may be the answer. Trevor Lawrence is showing improvement. Travis Hunter, I really haven't heard of yet, really, in the season. But they look really good still. I'm going to go with the Rams, though, because I think the Rams are a bit of a better team than the Jaguars. Rams will defeat the Jaguars 31-27. Rams will be 5-2. Jaguars will drop to be 4-3. We're moving on with our next game. And now it's time for our 1 o'clock games. And our first game is the 4-2 Eagles and the 3-2 Vikings. Eagles are here after losing Thursday night against the Giants 34-17. Philadelphia played complete and utter garbage. They look so bad. They lost 2 straight. They lost to the Broncos and then the Giants. However, they're going to Minnesota against the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3-2, coming back from their bye week. J.J. McCarthy might be starting again after suffering that injury in week 2 on Sunday night against the Falcons, getting blown out by them 22-6. I think I'm going to go with my first Anthony's upset of the week. I'm going to say that the Vikings are going to beat Philadelphia. Because think about it. The Vikings are all well rested. They're coming back from their bye week, so that's good. J.J. McCarthy's coming back. And Justin Jefferson's really good. And it's in Minnesota, too. So I'm going to go with Anthony's upset of the week. I'm taking Minnesota over Philadelphia. Vikings will beat the Eagles in an upset 21-14. The Vikings will be 4-2. The Eagles will drop to be 4-3. We're moving on to the next game. And coming up at our next game, we got a revenge game. It's the 4-2 Patriots and the 1-5 Titans. Patriots are here after almost losing to New Orleans 25-19. Patriots are really improving with Mike Vrabel as their head coach. Drake May is showing some shines, some rise. You got to see how he plays out, but to be honest, I think they're going to beat the Titans. And fun fact, Mike Vrabel used to coach the Titans. He was fired from the Titans in the 2023 season at the very end. And now he's going against the Titans at home, his old team he used to coach. So this is a kind of a revenge game. And the Titans are here after losing to the Raiders 20-10. And also, before the Titans, speaking of head coaches, the Titans fired Brian Callahan on Monday, which was yesterday. Brian Callahan has been fired for the Titans, and I don't know who's going to be interning for him, but the Titans really need to have a rebuild thing. I want to see how Cam Ward plays out, because Cam Ward, he could be good. It depends, but I think I'm going to go with New England over this win either way. The Patriots will defeat the Titans 20-17. Patriots will be 5-2. Titans will be 1-6. We're moving on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 3-3 Panthers and the winless 0-6 Jets. Panthers are here after they beat the Cowboys. Rico Dowdle destroying his former team, playing very well, winning at the last second with that kick, 30-27. Panthers have won 2 straight. They're over 500. They're on the 500 dot. They could be over 500 if they beat the Jets. Panthers are showing improvement at 3-3. They're really looking good, and they're also undefeated at home. However, they're taking on the 0-6 Jets, who lost to Denver 13-11 in London. Oh my goodness. The Jets will not stop becoming the Jets. The Jets, even when there's weird seasons like this, the Jets are always been garbage. They're always been trash. Even when I started watching, they were always bad, the Jets. They just were never good. The last time the Jets were good, I was in either kindergarten, which was 2010. I think I'm going to graduate college before the Jets even make the playoffs. They're so bad. Woody Johnson is terrible, but enough ranting. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think the Panthers will beat the Jets, even though it's in MetLife. The Jets are just terrible. Breece Hall, however, he could not be returning. He's probably hurt, or Garrett Wilson's hurt. It's just not looking good for the Jets. Even when they got Justin Fields or Aaron Glenn as their coach, they're going to find ways just to blow it. Panthers will beat the Jets 26-7. Panthers will be 4-3. Jets will be 0-7. We're moving on with the next game. And we have another bad game coming up at our next game. And both teams are coming back from losses. We got the 1-5 Dolphins and the 1-5 Browns. Both teams are 1-5. Dolphins are here after blowing that last-second game against the Chargers, 29-27. And I think that possibly Mike McDaniel will get fired either next week or somewhere in like the mid of the season. I think Mike McDaniel is done. He is so bad. The Dolphins are just terrible. Tua is not doing well. They're just completely obliterating themselves, and now they're taking on the Browns, who lost, but they played strong. Dylan Gabriel has been showing some shines here and there. We got to see how he plays out. However, I'm going to go with the Browns. They have a home field advantage. I think they're a better team. They put up a fight. Miami, they choked, so I'm going to go with the Browns. The Browns will beat the Dolphins 21-10. The Browns will be 2-5. Dolphins will be 1-6. We're moving on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-5 Saints and the 3-2 Bears. Saints are here after losing to New England. They played really good still. Spencer Rattler, he's been playing very well. Taysom Hill finally returned after suffering that ACL injury he did last season. We got to see how he plays out, and now they're taking on the Bears. The Bears are here after unfortunately coming back and beating my Commanders, sadly, 25-24. I'm not mad over the game, but Jaden Daniels made a lot of mistakes, though. But the Bears are really good, though. They have won 2 straight after starting off 0-2 over those losses against the Vikings in Week 1. And now I think ever since the Week 2 loss, I feel like the Bears have gotten better. They are going to probably get their 4th straight win because they're taking on the Saints and they're in Soldier Field. So I think the Bears have a bright future. I think they're going to beat the Saints. Bears will beat the Saints 31-26. The Bears will be 4-2. The Saints will drop to be 1-6. We're moving on with the next game. And coming up at our next game to end off the 1 p.m. games, we have an AFC West showdown between the 2-4 Raiders and the 3-3 Chiefs. This is a good game. Both teams are coming back from wins. Raiders are here after beating Tennessee, getting their head coach fired. 20-10. Geno Smith finally... He's still bad, Geno Smith. Again, they were taking on the Titans. Geno Smith is old. He's 35 now. He just turned 35 last week. The Raiders are not a great team as they were. Geno Smith's not his prime. I think they should either start Aiden O'Connell or Kenny Pickett. But either way, they're taking on the Chiefs, who are 3-3. And this was a must-win against the Lions, and they beat them 30-17. And I was right about my upset of the week over that. I think I'm going to go with Kansas City still. The Chiefs really need to rebound. They really need to regroup. So I think they're going to win this one. And they're in Kansas City. So I think it's a perfect victory for Kansas City. Chiefs will defeat the Raiders 22-14. Chiefs will be 4-3. The Raiders will be 2-5. We're moving on with the next games. Coming up at our next games, here are our 4 p.m. games. Our first game is a really good game. The 5-1 Colts and the 4-2 Chargers. Both teams are coming back from wins. The Colts are here after almost blowing it to Arizona, almost losing to Jacoby Brissett 31-27. Daniel Jones is showing a lot of improvement. And this season, I thought the Colts were going to be really bad. I thought they were going to be like 2-4 or like 1-5, but 5-1 is crazy. And same thing with the Chargers. They're here after almost blowing against the Dolphins, winning that game barely 29-27. The Chargers don't have Amari Hampton, however, and this is going to be a really good game. But if I had to choose, I'm going to have to go with the Chargers on this one. I think the Chargers are a better team. I know Amari Hampton's still hurt, though. But the Colts made a little bit of mistakes on Sunday against the Cardinals. And the Colts are away. They are not at home. They're in LA. And the Chargers really need to regroup after that almost lost against the Dolphins. So I think we're going to go with the Chargers. Chargers will defeat the Colts 28-23. The Chargers will be 5-2. The Colts will also be 5-2. We're moving on with our next game. And coming up at our next game, we got a pretty good game. It's the 2-4 Giants and the 4-2 Broncos. Giants are here after that amazing upset win over the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night, 34-17. Jackson Dart looked really great. Cam Skattebo played very well. Wan'Dale Robinson played very well. They're going on to Denver against the Broncos, who got that ugly win against the Jets of all teams, 13-11. I don't know why the Jets almost beat Denver, but that's a red flag for Denver. However, they're at home, though. They're in Mile High. They're in Denver. I think the Broncos will win. I don't know about the whole Jackson Dart thing, but I think there's something saying that Jackson Dart might pull it off, though. I think the Broncos will still win, though, because, again, that was a very ugly win against the Giants. But it's going to be a close game, though. I think the Broncos are going to beat them, but it's going to be a close game. Denver will defeat the Giants 25-19. The Broncos will be 5-2. The Giants will be 2-5. We're moving on to the next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 3-1-1 Packers and the 2-4 Cardinals. Packers are here after beating the Bengals at home 27-18. They look like such a better team now, coming back from their bye week. And then they beat Cincinnati, and now they're taking on the Cardinals, who have lost 2 straight. They have not won a game since September. The Cardinals only beat the Panthers and the Saints to start the season off, and they have lost all their 4 games ever since then. They're now 2-4. They fell apart. And they're here almost beating the Colts. And however, Kyler Murray was hurt last week, and Jacoby Brissett had to step in. So I think the Packers will still win. I think the Packers are a better team. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals in this way. Because the Green Bay is a really good team, though. I know they had a little bit of a bump against the Browns, and they tied the Cowboys before their bye week. But they're rested from their bye week. I think they're going to win. The Packers will defeat the Cardinals 23-9. Packers will be 4-1-1. The Cardinals will now be 2-5. We're moving on with the next game. And coming up at our next game, we got an NFC East matchup between my 3-3 Commanders and the 2-3-1 Cowboys. Both teams are coming back from losses. Unfortunately, my Commanders are here after they blew it against the Bears. On Monday night, I was really upset, 25-24. Jayden Daniels made a very stupid play. It just did not sit right for me. I'm not mad, though. If they don't make the playoffs this season, the Commanders, I won't be upset. At least I felt, them doing well, and at least I get to see them win a playoff game, at least for the first time in over 30 years or 20 years. But they're going on against Dallas, who lost to the Panthers in that close game, 30-27. Cowboys might get CeeDee Lamb back this week. Commanders, hopefully Scary Terry will return. But to be honest, I'm going to go with Dallas. I think Dallas is a better team. They have a better advantage over Washington, so I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. Cowboys will beat the Commanders 28-20. The Cowboys will be 3-1, and the Commanders will unfortunately drop to be 3-4. We're moving on to the next game. And coming up at our next game for Sunday Night Football, we got a pretty okay game. It's the 3-2 Falcons and the 4-2 Niners. Falcons, they're here after beating Buffalo, upsetting them last night, 24-14. Michael Penix is not a bad quarterback. I think he's really good still. He's really good, Michael Penix. They come back from their bye week, and they upset Buffalo. And the Bills have just been really bad lately, but we're not talking about them this week. They're on bye week, so they need to rest. However, they're going against the 49ers, who lost to the Buccaneers because the 49ers are just banged up with injuries. And Fred Warner, on Sunday, suffered a pretty bad injury. He is done for the whole season. That whole 49ers team is just banged up with injuries, and they're 4-2 right now, which is surprising to me. But I'm going to go with the Falcons. The Falcons are a lot healthier. They're angry. They played very well against Buffalo yesterday. So I'm going to go with the Falcons on this one. Falcons will defeat the 49ers 24-16. Falcons will be 4-2, and meaning the Niners will go on to be 4-3. We're moving on to our next games. And coming up at our next games, we have 2 Monday Night Football games again. Our first game for Monday Night Football is a pretty good game. The 5-1 Buccaneers and the 4-2 Lions. Buccaneers are here after beating San Francisco 30-19. And the Buccaneers have been playing very well. And they're doing this, keep in mind, without Bucky Irving or Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, I think, might have returned, but they had a lot of injuries, the Buccaneers. And Emeka Egbuka is a really good rookie. He's been doing very well. He's been fitting great with Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. I like the Buccaneers. Even though we beat them in the wild card. I still think they're going to lose this game. The Lions are here after losing to Kansas City, and that crazy fight happened between Juju Smith-Schuster and Brian Branch. I think the Lions are going to win. The Lions are back at home. I think it's an easy victory for Detroit to get back on track. And if they win, they're going to be, again, in first place in the NFC conference because this whole season doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to go Detroit. Lions will defeat the Buccaneers 33-30. The Lions will be 5-2. The Buccaneers will be 5-2 as well. We're moving on to the next game. And last but not least, for Monday night at the 10 p.m. one, we got the 2-3 Texans and the 4-2 Seahawks. Texans are coming back from their bye week. They're all rested up. They're all ready to go. However, they're going on against the Seahawks, who beat the Jaguars. They almost blew the game, though. It was up and down. Seattle is still a really good team. Sam Darnold's a really good quarterback still. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game, but something saying that the Texans might win. But to be honest, I think it's in Seattle. I think Seahawks are going to get this win. Seattle needs this win because if they do win this game, they could be tied for first place for the NFC West. All the three teams except for the Cardinals are tied for the first place for the NFC West. But I'm going to go with Seattle anyway. Seahawks will defeat the Texans 31-21. Seahawks will go on to be 5-2. The Texans will be 2-4. And that is it for this week, everybody. Those are all my NFL picks for Week 7. Tune in next week for Anthony's NFL Picks Week 8, which will be premiering next Tuesday, October 21st. This is Anthony signing off, and have a great week and enjoy the games this weekend.